Hi, it's Jim Smith back again with the 1000. You know, the impetus for modern gun control in Canada was a very nasty incident that took place in Montreal, where 15 schoolgirls were murdered by a seriously unbalanced young man who nowadays would probably be called an Islamic terrorist, but in those days he was only even called by his adopted French name. But it was a terrible thing, and I speak as a dad whose daughter went to school in Montreal, and I assure you that, that makes me just as sick as anybody that thing happened. 15 people killed, and it's absolutely celebrated. Our flags are at half-mast that day. But, there's been a few other mass murders in Canadian history that we don't seem to pay that much attention to. We had residential schools on the reserves. About 6,000 Indian and Métis kids died in those schools. Now, some of them probably would have died anyway, but generally speaking, it's a lot safer to be out in the bush when whooping cough and diphtheria and things like that are going through. So that's probably the biggest mass murder in Canadian history. Second biggest was the Air India sabotage, where over 300 people were killed. Why aren't these two things commemorated too much? Racism, systematic racism. That's my call, and I'll call you on. I'll call every one of the Coalition for Gun Control people on this. You're racist. You're more worried about a white girl being killed than a black person or a brown person, and that's what it is. And those people weren't killed by firearms, by the way. The third biggest murder in Canada was in Montreal again, and it was a nightclub killing, killed 28 people. It's the Bluebird Café, or the Montreal nightclub massacre. You can find it online. And that case was a downstairs bar, and the doors were jammed shut, and gasoline was poured down the stairwells, and 28 people were burnt to death. The survivors of those people, and that happened in the 70s, that wanted to get a plaque put up. They had a heck of a fight with city council. The building's long gone. Of course, it burnt down. All they wanted was a plaque on a tree or on a building corner to remember those 28 people, and they had a heck of a fight. Yet all sorts of fuss is made over other people. Why? Racism and sexual bias, bigotry, and a lot of genuine anti-Americanism. The other thing I want to talk about Canadian gun control, and this is also gun control in Australia, New Zealand, England, and on the continent, I know for a fact, is we don't want to be like the Americans. Well, we're not. So why are you making me a villain? I'm not an American. I'm a Canadian. I've been Canadian more generations than most of you guys have. So what is the point with this thing? So we have to confront some of these people sometimes and call bull. And some of the stuff's real bull. I'm going to sign off now because I'm getting a little choked up. We'll talk to you again in a bit.